Ethan Miller had spent months talking to a mysterious young woman online named Aria. At 38, he wasn't proud of how deeply he had fallen for a 19-year-old, but there was something about her honesty, her warmth, and her strange sense of humor that kept pulling him back to the screen every night. They talked about movies, dreams, fears, and late-night secrets. For Ethan, who lived a quiet life in Oregon working from home, Aria had become the brightest thing in his day. After weeks of planning, she finally convinced him to visit her in Texas. She told him she lived in a small town outside Austin, a place she described as boring but safe. Ethan booked a flight, nervous and excited. He imagined holding flowers as he walked out of the airport, practicing what he would say when he finally saw her. Would she like him in person? Would she regret inviting him? When he landed, Aria sent a message. "I'm waiting outside in a red hoodie." Ethan rushed through the terminal, his heart pounding. As he stepped outside, he searched the crowd until he spotted a thin girl standing alone near a pillar. She waved shyly. Ethan approached, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. But as they hugged, he noticed something unexpected. Her body felt flat, almost unusually so. At first he ignored it, telling himself it didn't matter. People looked different in person. But Aria seemed tense, almost anxious. She kept her arms folded and avoided turning fully toward him. After a few minutes of awkward conversation, she took a deep breath. "There's something I need to tell you," she said softly. Ethan felt a chill run through him. He had flown across the country for this moment, and suddenly, everything felt uncertain. Aria led Ethan to a quiet corner near the parking lot. Her hands were trembling. Ethan tried to reassure her, telling her he wasn't going to judge whatever she wanted to say. But inside, he could feel a strange fear building. Something was wrong, he could sense it. Aria looked down, avoiding eye contact. "You must be wondering why I look different from my photos," she whispered. Ethan hesitated, then nodded gently. She finally lifted her head and said, "I should have told you earlier. I had a medical condition when I was younger. I had to undergo surgery. I don't have breasts anymore." Ethan froze. It wasn't the fact itself that shocked him. It was the pain in her voice, the fear that he would reject her. She wrapped her arms around herself as if trying to hide. "I didn't want to lie," she continued, "but I didn't want you to disappear before meeting me. People always say they won't judge, but they do."
For a moment, Ethan didn't know what to say. He felt confused, surprised, and guilty all at once. He remembered all the late-night calls, the laughter, the secrets they shared. Aria wasn't just some online fantasy. She was a real persona. Frightened, fragile one. "Look," Ethan said slowly, "I didn't come all this way just because of how you look. I came because of who you were. To me." Aria's eyes filled with tears, unsure whether to believe him. But the moment wasn't simple. Ethan felt a storm inside himself. Could he accept this? Could he handle the truth she had feared revealing? Aria watched his face carefully, waiting for the moment he would walk away like others had. And then Ethan said the one thing she didn't expect. "Let's talk." "Honestly, no." More hiding on either side. They sat together inside a small cafe near the airport. The tension around them felt heavy, but both knew this conversation was necessary. Aria explained her past, how a childhood illness had forced her into surgeries that changed her body forever. She talked about the fear, the bullying, the way people stared when they noticed. But the worst part, she said, was how people she opened up to always disappeared. Afterward, Ethan listened carefully. He realized she wasn't just afraid of losing him, she was afraid of being unlovable. He felt empathy rising within him. "You didn't have to be perfect," he told her. "You just had to be honest." Aria lowered her gaze. "I was scared you'd leave," she whispered. Ethan sighed. "I won't lie to you. I'm still processing everything." But what I feel for you didn't come from your body. It came from everything we shared. She looked up slowly, hope flickering in her eyes. So, what now? She asked. He thought. For a long moment, they could try to force a relationship immediately, or they could take a step back and rebuild things honestly. We start over, he finally said. Not as a fantasy, as two real people. Arya nodded, relief washing over her. She didn't need a promise of love, just the promise that she wasn't being thrown away again. Etha reached across the table and took her hand gently. No secrets, he said. No secrets, she replied. And for the first time that day, both of them smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because it was finally real.